Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, students.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
wabarakatuh.
Morning, sir.
Morning, sir.
Have a nice day. How are you today?
I'm fine, sir.
Good, sir. I'm fine, sir.
Okay. Is all students already into the Zoom meeting?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Is my voice clear here?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay. Before we start learning today, first we say basmalah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
And then I will check student attendance first and check the tightness of student uniform. Let me start attendance. When I call out the name of student, the student who is called say present and tell me when a student is not present in the listen. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
so
sir.
we start attendance. In the first, Ahmad Iswanto.
Present, sir.
Okay, Asmaul Husna,
Present, sir.
Intan Puspitasari,
Present, sir.
Kristianti,
Present, sir.
Kiki Amalia,
Present, sir.
Lazuardi Sastra,
Present, sir.
and Rika Hairunisa.
Present, sir.
Okay, good job. Everyone is present in today's class. So let's get started. For today's learning, we still use the same Google Classroom as yesterday's lesson as a place to collect assignment. Later, I will give assignment for you to do and then collect them in Google Classroom. Can all students understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, good job. Today, we will learn about the factor. I hope after today's learning, students can explain the concept of factor in two-dimensional plane, and you can explain the operation of factor in two-dimensional plane. And you can solve problem related to factor in dimensional plane, and you can solve problem related to factor length of two-dimensional plane. By the way, and I hope that you will remain enthusiastic in learning even though during the COVID-19 pandemic, you must keep your health and implement the health protocol recommended by government to present and prevent the spread of COVID-19 virus. Considering the spread of the COVID-19 virus is increasing, we must always be patient until this pandemic is over. So back in the learning, for students, please open file about the factor in our WhatsApp group. I have sent to WhatsApp group. I have sent file to WhatsApp group. Please open file on page 1. Then I will show my PowerPoint about factor. You can read each file and pay attention to my PowerPoint explanation of factor. Wait a minute. I will share screen on my PowerPoint about the explanation of factor. Okay, I will explain about the factor. So what is the factor? A factor is a quantity that has a value and a direction. Example of factor quantities are displacements, velocity, acceleration, electric field, and magnetic field. In general, factor quantities can be described using directed line, segment, or arrow. The arrow represents the direction of factor. This is arrow of the direction of factor, and the length of the line segment represents the factor length or size of the factor. So factor can be denoted with lowercase letter with arrow, and then as follows: factor A, factor B, factor C, factor D, factor E, and etc. Or lowercase in bold like this: A, B, C, D, E, and etc. In the image below, there is line segment AB, which we consider as factor U. Factor U is a factor that has a base at point A and the tip at point B. So this is factor AB. The point B is the end of factor. So this is point B, and the point A is the starting point of the factor. This is point A. So the factor above is the called factor AB or factor U. So this is factor U. And next, so I will tell you about the types of factor. In the first factor, zero factor is a factor whose magnitude is the zero unit and the direction is not certain. And the second factor position is the position of particle point to certain reference point can be expressed by position factor. And the third base factor is a factor whose length is 1 unit and the direction is the same direction as coordinate axis. And the fourth unit factor is a factor whose length is 1 unit. So I will tell you about the factor in two-dimensional plane. Factor in two-dimensional space is expressed as pair of number written vertically or horizontally. In the form of factor matrix U, it can be written as follows. Factor U equals factor AB equals in bracket component X, and the base here is a component Y. I mean component Y. The factor value depends on the direction of each component. The X component is positive if it is going to the right and negative if it is going to the left. Meanwhile, the Y component will be positive if direction is upward and negative if the direction is downward. So for the example one, suppose there is a factor U as a follow. This is a factor U and with the arrow. To determine the factor, the value of factor U, we can see the shift is direction. First, to find component value for X, we see if the factor U shift left or right. As it's turned out, the factor U has shift 4 units to right, meaning the value of the component X equals 4, then find the value of the Y component, we look the shift of the factor U up or down. If you see, the factor U has a shift upwards by 4 units. So that's the value component Y equals 4. Thus, the value of the factor U is obtained, namely factor U equals in bracket component X. I want to tell you about the factor position. The factor position is a factor coordinate. I mean, factor the originates at the coordinate center in bracket 0, 0.0 and ends at the point X and Y. There are two line segments, namely factor OP and factor OA. So we can consider the segment OP as a factor P and the segment OR as a factor R. And factor P is a position factor because it has a base at the center of the coordinate O in the bracket 0, 0.0 and the tip at the point P in the bracket 4.2. Likewise, the factor R is also a position factor because it's a coordinate at a point O in the bracket 0, 0.0 and ends at the point R in the bracket 2.4. So this is a picture about the factor OR and the OP. So look at there. The point key is Cartesian coordinate above can also be a position factor. If you draw a straight line from the coordinate center to point key, the value of position factor will equal the coordinates of the endpoint. So the factor P, it is in bracket 4 and 2, and factor position R equals to in the bracket 2 and 4. There is the Cartesian coordinate. the vector OA equals A, and the vector OB equals B. Vector OA equals in the bracket 6 and 5, and the vector OB equals in the bracket -4 and 7. If we calculate the value of vector B minus vector A equals vector OB, this is vector OB minus vector OA, this is vector OA. Look at the picture. So I can write here in bracket -4, 7 minus in the bracket 6 and 5. So the equals is 2 in bracket -10 and 2. So this is vector AB. So the vector AB in bracket is -10 and 2. So the vector AB can obtain from the vector position point B minus vector position point A in bracket vector AB equals vector OB minus vector OA equals vector B minus vector A. So look at the example practice 1. So this is a question about the given the coordinate of point A in bracket 2.4. And what I mean 2.5, and B in the bracket -4.2. Find the vector AB and the vector BA. So for the answer, so this is vector AB equals B minus A. So this is coordinate vector of point B. It is -4.2, and the minus because the coordinates of point A it is 2.5. So I write here 2.5. So equals in bracket -6 point -3. So the vector value of AB equals in the bracket -6 points -3. And the second, what is the vector value of BA? So I can write vector BA equals vector coordinate point of A minus coordinate point of B. So equals in the bracket 2.5 minus in the bracket -4.2, and equals in the bracket 6.3. If so, vector CD equals 7.3, and the point C in the bracket is -1.2. So what are the coordinates of point D? From this example 3, anyone to answer it? I will give you time.
A few moments later.
Sir,
Yes?
I will answer example 3. So can I will share screen on my answer?
Okay, Rika. Please tell me your answer.
Okay, I will answer the example 3. And the question is, if the vector CD equals in a bracket 7, 3, and point C in a bracket -1, 2, what are the coordinates of the point D? And the solution is vector CD equals vector OD minus vector OC. And we get vector CD equals vector D minus vector C. So my answer is right, sir?
Yes, Rika, your answer is right. Good job. Excellent for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Okay, I will share again my PowerPoint. Now I will tell about the determine the length of vector. We will determine the length of vector is a 1 2-dimensional plane. Let vector R be a vector on a segment OR. The vector R can be represented by R equals X and Y. In the image below, OPR formed a right triangle with the base side X. The perpendicular side. I have the example of the determine the length of vector. So this is a question of the length of vector. Given the vector A equals in the bracket -3 and -4, and the vector B equals to in the bracket is -5 and 1. So find the absolute value of vector A and the absolute value of vector B. You can write in here. And the result is equals the square root of 9 plus 16 equals to the square root of 25. And the result is the 5 units of length. So I want to tell you about the vector operation. Addition and subtraction of vector into dimensional plane. Two or more vector can be added and the result is called the resultant. The algebraic addition of vector can be done by adding the components that are located. I can continue to explanation of example 3. If the vector u equals in the bracket 4 and 3 and the vector v in the bracket 2 and 3 and the vector w equals to in the bracket -2 and 1. So what is the value of vector u and what I mean vector u plus vector v plus vector w. So can anyone to answer it? I will give you time.
Sir,
Anyone to
I will
answer?
answer.
Okay, Rika, can you tell me about your answer?
My answer is I addition of vectors. Vector u plus vector v plus vector w. Vector u plus vector v plus vector w is in a bracket for 7. I'm right, sir?
Okay, good job, Rika. Your answer is right again. Okay, I think enough for the explanation of operation vector. Now I will give you exercise to vector problem. All students, please open your Google Classroom. And I have answered the practice question in the Google Classroom. Please do it. And when they have finished answer it, students can photograph and the answer to input question to menu on Google Classroom. Can be it understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, please do the practice carefully question.
A few minutes later.
Excuse me, sir. I have worked on and collect answer from vector practice question to Google Classroom.
Wait a minute, I will check to Google Classroom. Okay, good job. All students have collect the answer, so I will give a conclusion about the learning today. So what is the vector? The vector is a quantity. The vector can be denoted with the lowercase letters. With the arrow. This is enough for the lesson today. And let's say Hamdallah.
Alhamdulillahirrahmanirrahim.
Okay, I hope that my explanation of vector can be understood by you. Can one of student lead a prayer, a sign of ending the lesson?
Yes, sir, I can. I will lead a prayer as sign of ending the lesson. Before ending the lesson, it would be better if we pray. Let's pray together begin. Finish. Greet to our teacher. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.